Hi, everybody, and my apologies that I can't be with you in person today. My name is Lizzie. My full Sunday best name is Dr. Elizabeth Lloyd-Parkes, and I'm a marketing academic based in Cardiff at the University of South Wales. I'm course leader for PhDs and professional doctorates, such as our doctorate in business administration, all situated within the business and management fields. So, my brief today is to speak to you about how I got into the wonderful research method of autoethnography, and this is how it started. My doctoral research focused upon the child consumer and how young people and children express self-concept through the adoption of branded consumer goods. I had a little bit of a disagreement with my supervisor as I wanted to include an informal introduction to the PhD, which was highly narrative in form, detailing exchanges of texts and conversations, all suitably anonymised, with my then adolescent sons. Although this chapter or foreword was highly narrative, it did contain links to societal issues and also to the body of theory surrounding the constructs on which I was focused. For example, I really took a lot from Irving Goffman's presentation of self in everyday life. My PhD supervisor, though, said no, it has no place in a PhD. I respectfully-ish disagreed and included the foreword anyway, resulting in some exceptionally positive and unexpected comments from my panel of examiners and requests from them for permission to use my informal introduction as an example of good practice for their own doctoral students. I had no idea at this point, shame on me, great shame, that this actually was autoethnography. So I've always had a leaning towards writing for pleasure, and sometime over a decade ago now, I made the decision that I would like to enrol for an MA in creative writing. The output for this qualification was defined as a novel which may or may not be published. I applied, I was interviewed, welcomed with open arms onto the course, and then went away to write the first two chapters of a book provisionally entitled The Peccadilloes of Liability Lizzie. Liability Lizzie being my dad's fond nickname for his frequently accident-prone daughter. Excuse me. About to submit these chapters to the course tutors, I then received an email from our research office telling me that if I wished to pursue the MA in creative writing, I would have to drop all my PhD supervisions, as it was prohibited to register for a research degree whilst simultaneously supervising them. Even though this MA in creative writing and my PhD and DBA supervisions were in completely different disciplines, it was not allowed. Now, I was in a situation where I couldn't afford to lose my PhD supervisions in terms of workload, as I knew that I would have to go back to really intense teaching of 240 students at a time on an MBA cohort with massive marking workloads, which would just prevent me from doing anything else other than teaching, marking, and so on. So this unpleasant work-life balance or imbalance which would result made me decide to forego the creative writing. Autoethnography then appeared to me to be quite a good substitute for the creative writing leanings that I wanted to embrace. And it allowed the additional benefit to me as an academic of being to publish and enhance my profile whilst carving out something of a specialist methodological niche for myself within a business school. Now, our business school, which, like all business schools, or many business schools anyway, traditionally has a tendency to denigrate qualitative research in favour of the more usual and boring quantitative studies, which slap numbers on a situation and extrapolate. And pretend to understand the individual through exploring the many. But for me, slapping a number on it doesn't necessarily answer the questions that I have. And reading this quantitative research frequently raises more questions than the research answers for me. I was working on some research on tattoos in the marketing of self as a product, and that's what my first autoethnographic publication focused upon. Rather smugly, I was able to sneak a pic of Tom Hardy's tattooed torso into a conference presentation, one of my finest academic achievements. Following that, I encouraged colleagues to join me in writing a paper on thanatourism, dark tourism associated with the locus of death or tragedy. And it was while presenting this paper that I met the wonderful man who was to become my autoethnographic mentor, the man with two PhDs, Dr. Alec Grant. And since then, Alec and I have worked together on a number of projects, including our recent, shameless plug here, Meaningful Journeys, Autoethnographies of Quest and Identity Transformation. We're currently working on a second volume of this book with Routledge, so hopefully that will come to fruition very soon. I'm very fortunate to have a good degree of autonomy within my working life, and I'm able, with the supervision of the PhD students that I have on my workload, to focus on research and supervising these doctorates to the exclusion of very much else. So I've lost the time-consuming stuff, which now allows me to focus on research. I'm really fortunate to have several excellent PhD students who are carrying forward the autoethnographic torch within the business environment, and one of them has her viva voce examination today, so please keep your fingers crossed for her. I firmly believe that we are actually seeing a sea change in business school attitudes towards qualitative research, and I intend to continue to rock the business school boat as much as I possibly can in order to achieve acceptance of our methodology within these environments. Alec eloquently calls it trouble nurturing, and you know what? I think it's a good thing to challenge the status quo. Another plug here. If any of you are interested in autoethnography around the business discipline, I run an annual international symposium entitled Telling the Story of Business, which is currently in its 6th iteration. This year's theme is authenticity, which fits really nicely with autoethnography. And if any of you are interested in attending and or submitting a paper, it's free of charge and online. Please let me know and I'll send you more detail. So thanks to you all for listening. I hope I haven't bored you. Thanks to Jamie for asking me to speak. And most of all, thanks to Alec Grant, who has been and will continue to be my inspiration on this autoethnographic journey. Thank you all.